Hey, how's it going, everybody? Devin here again with countryguitaronline.com. In this guitar lesson, I'm going to show you all 4 of my favorite country and bluegrass sounding guitar licks. And these are going to be licks that travel the neck of your guitar. You know, your left hand is going to play them all the way up and down the neck. Really flashy looking, you know, it impresses people when you play these type of licks because that left hand is like, it's going all over the place. And they sound really good too. I use these licks all the time in my own playing. Sometimes I'll combine them with other guitar licks to create a longer guitar solo. Sometimes I will just insert these licks in between my rhythm guitar playing to kind of spruce up my rhythm playing, make it sound a little fancier. And I'll show you, give you all some ideas on that here in a second, but let me play through the first lick we're about to learn so you can hear it, get an idea what we're getting into, and then we'll break it down. So here we go, lick number 1. That's it right there. Here it is one more time. Really cool country and bluegrass sounds. Love that kind of style on the acoustic guitar. All 4 of these licks, they're going to have that similar sound, but they're going to be different. So let's get into it. Let's break down lick number 1 and pull up tablature. We'll go through it a couple measures at a time. All these licks we're learning today, they're going to be in the key of G, and they're all 4 measures in length. So to make it a bit easier, let's chop them in half. We're going to learn measures 1 and 2 first, get that part down, and then we'll move on to the second half in measures 3 and 4, and then we'll combine them all at the end. So that's what we're doing for all these licks. And one quick note, on the tablature download here at Country Guitar Online, you can see that I've written in the scale positions that each of these licks works through. Since they travel the neck, I'm trying to give you all an idea of what scale positions we're using. And this isn't going to be a complete scale breakdown lesson. That's a whole other lesson in itself. But for those of y'all that are familiar with the scales, or maybe those of y'all that aren't, you can get an idea of what scales that y'all should be learning to start playing these country and bluegrass type of licks and everything. So if you check it out, this lick number 1 starts in the 5th position, and all these licks, they're really heavy on using the blues scale. And we're in the key of G, so starting out in the 5th position, blues scale, key of G. That's where this lick starts. Then it moves up to the 1st position, key of G, blues scale. Like that. I'm not going to play all these scales, but you get the idea. If you want to check out scale charts for all this stuff, head over to Country Guitar Online if you're not there already. But if you're here, you're set and ready to go. Just click the resources link at the top of the site, and you can navigate to all the scale charts that we got. We got blues scale charts, major pentatonic scale charts, minor pentatonic scale charts. So check that out. It's on all the keys. You can start memorizing this stuff if you want to. So we started in the 5th position, moved up to the 1st position, blues scale, and then we moved up to the 2nd position, and then moved back down to the 1st position, and then back to the 5th position. So I'm still just talking about lick number 1 here. And at the end of the day, all we're doing is starting down here, working our way up, and going back down. I'm just trying to put a name to what we're doing, talking about it in relation to these scale positions. So hopefully that helps a little bit. Each of these licks, I've got the same note, so you can check out the scale positions that we're using. All right, now let's go back to lick number 1. Break this thing down. I'm going to play the whole lick so you can hear it one more time, and then we'll do what I was talking about. Learn each section, first section, then first half, and then second half. Here we go, lick number 1. I'm going to count us in with 8 notes. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. That's it. Let's take a look at the first 2 measures. count us in with the eighth notes again and follow this tablature. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2. That's it. That's the first two measures. A couple quick notes. Got two slides there. Both of those slides, I'm using my left ring finger. Slide up, slide up. And then we do a pull off. That pull off there, I'm using my left middle finger, doing a downward pull off to my pointer finger. So from the beginning, slide up, slide up, pull off. That's basically all there is to it. And one other thing is that very first note, you can hear that that one's held out a bit longer than the rest of them. That first note, that's a quarter note, and all the other notes after that, those are all eighth notes. So if I count out this entire lick in eighth notes, pay attention to that first note and how it's held out for longer. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 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 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and... I hope that makes sense. So that's the first two measures. Pause if you want to work more on those and memorize them with the tablature and everything. But let's move into measures 3 and 4. Same deal. I'm just going to slow it down. And one thing to note, we ended measure 2 with an up pick on the third string, and we got our left ring finger on the 7th fret, right there. So at the end of measure 2, we did that up pick, but now we're sliding into measure 3. So we start measure 3 with that slide. So maybe it might make more sense if I play this whole lick again, so you can hear it, and then we'll break down 3 and 4 a little bit more. Here we go. I'm going to start this measure 3 and 4 breakdown with the slide, the one at the, starting with the note at the end of measure 2. A bit slower. See that note on the 8th string? I'm using my left middle finger. The 8th fret, excuse me, right there. Slide up, 8th fret, middle, and then that next hammer on, I'm doing with my left pointer to my middle. And then that slide there, that 1 fret slide from the 6th fret to the 5th fret, that's with my left pointer finger. And then just finish the riff. This part here, see, I actually use my left pointer finger right there on the 5th fret, and this part I'm talking about, it's the first note in the 4th measure. You see right on the 5th fret. I've got my left pointer there. And then you do it open, and then a hammer. That hammer I'm doing with my left pointer to middle. So 5th fret with the pointer open. Take that pointer down here to do the hammer on. So anyways, that's the 3rd and 4th measures. Now let's combine all 4 of those measures. I'll count us in so you can practice with me if you want. Count in with the 8th notes again. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3. One more time. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. And that's it. Lick number 1. There's lots of different ways you can practice these licks that climb the neck. One of my favorite ways is to play, all these licks, they're 4 measures in length. So I'll play a 4 measure lick, one of the ones we just learned, and then I'll play 4 measures of rhythm. And then I'll switch back to 4 measures of the lick, then 4 measures of rhythm. You can just keep that pattern going on over and over again. Lick, rhythm, and practice it that way. It's a good technique to practice because tons of situations where you got to switch from rhythm to playing the lead or little fill riffs and then switch back without losing your time. So here's an example of what I'm talking about. Let's use lick number 1, the one that we just learned earlier in the lesson, and show you what I'm talking about. So the rhythm I'm going to do is just basic boom chick pattern at first, and then we'll make the rhythm a little more complex after that. All right, I'm going to play the lick first and then the rhythm. It's a pretty cool thing to practice. It sounds pretty good, So that's one thing you can do right there. If you want to spruce up that rhythm a little bit, this isn't really a strumming lesson, but I'll give y'all a little more to work on if you're wanting to push yourself with the strumming. If you haven't tried this yet, it's a good thing to practice. So we started with that boom chick pattern, boom chick, boom chick. But first, let me break that down so we're all on the same page. And this is pretty straightforward. Play a standard G major open chord. And the boom chick pattern, it's boom chick, boom chick, boom chick, boom chick, just like that. And the boom, that's a pick on the bass note. Boom. And then the chick is a strum on the skinny strings. Chick. So boom, chick, boom, chick, boom, chick, boom, chick. But you notice those booms, those bass note picks, they're alternating between 2 bass note strings. So the first pick is on the 6th string and then strum. Then the second bass note is on the 4th string, strum. So 6th string, strum, 4th string, strum, 6th strum, 4th strum, 6th strum, 4th strum. Might take a little bit of work if y'all aren't used to this type of strumming, but really good to work on that pick control. And then from there, let's count that out first before we start souping this thing up a little bit. So let's count out quarter notes. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's one measure. 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 2, 3, 4, 3, 2, 3, 4, 4, 2, 3, 4. What I played right there, that was 4 measures of the boom chick. So now let's count it out in eighth notes. Nothing's changing with the right hand. We're just changing the way we're counting it. So we're going to say 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and now. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Now let's add in some accent strums on the and count. And there's also going to be an accent pick on the and count. So let me show you with an example. 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and. So starting out from the beginning, first count on the 1 count. 1 and. So on the and count, that first and count, we're doing an up pick now on the 4th string. So from the beginning, 1 and 2 and. So the last 2 and is just strumming down, up. 1 and 2 and. So that's the first step right there. 1 and 2 and. So then after that, we'll switch up to the 4th string down pick right there on the 4th string. So down pick on the 4th string, and then next is an up pick on the 3rd string, and then strum, strum. It'll make more sense when we put it all together, but pick, pick, strum, strum. 4th string, 3rd string, strum, strum. There's 2 little segments we had there. So let's go back to the beginning and play the whole thing. I'll shout out the bass note string numbers. I think it'll make more sense doing this. 6th string, 4th string, strum, strum. 4th string, 3rd string, strum, strum. 6, 4, strum, strum. 4, 3, strum, strum. Pause if you want to work on that. I'm going to play it over and over again. 6, 4, strum, strum, 4, 3, strum, strum. 6, 4, strum, strum, 4, 3, strum, strum. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Anyways, that's the pattern right there. And if you speed it up, it sounds really cool. So it's something to work on right there. I'm always trying to smooth that out. Try that out. Try mixing those 4-measure long neck climbing country and bluegrass licks with that style of strumming. Go back and forth. 4 measures of the lick, 4 measures of that fancy country and bluegrass strumming. Lick, strumming, lick, strumming. That's one way you can practice this stuff. Another thing you can do, and I'm not going to break down this completely, but I'll just show you with an example. You can take one of those licks that we learned, those 4-measure neck climbing licks, and right after them or before them, however you want to do it, you can add on extra licks that you already know, these country and bluegrass licks, and to make a longer solo run. And if you don't know many of these licks, I've got another lesson out there called Common Bluegrass Licks. I believe that's what it's called. Check it out on the site. I've got like 16 different licks, these bluegrass licks. You know, kind of mess it up. You know, stuff like that. But here's an example. I'm going to play that neck climbing lick, and then I will tack on some extra bluegrass licks, make it into a longer solo type thing. Pretty cool sounds. bunch of those neck climbing licks that you learned. Kind of sloppy here. Once you click record on that video camera, I don't know, it's like your brain shuts down and you start messing up all of a sudden, but y'all get the idea. All sorts of cool stuff you can do with those neck climbing licks. Before we move on to lick number 2, I want to talk real quick about pick direction. Pick direction is so important for these type of flat picking licks, and if you're already familiar with flat picking and the pick direction and that type of method, feel free to skip forward through this section of the video. I've talked about this in other videos of mine, but I want to mention it again in this video just so we're all up to speed. But it's real simple to figure out if you need to do a down pick or an up pick on a particular note, you know, throughout the lick. It's a real simple pattern. And all you're going to do is you're going to keep that down, up, down, up, down, up pattern going throughout the entire lick. And these licks, for example, they're all, for the most part, it's all eighth notes. So let's do it with the right hand. Let's do it down, up on those eighth note counts. Down, up, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So that's the picking pattern you're going to use throughout the entire lick. But obviously, licks like this, you're not going to pick every single note because you run into hammer-ons and pull-offs and slides. And during those sections, you're going to be making the note with the left hand. You know, let's use the hammer-on, for example. The hammer-on, you're going to fret the note, and instead of picking it, you just hammered on there, you know. But because we're using this down, up alternate picking method, you're going to keep that moving, keep that right hand going. And so you come up to a hammer-on, you're going to do the hammer-on with the left hand, but you're still going to pass over the string as if you were going to pick the note. So it's like a fake pick just to keep that down, up pattern going right on every single eighth note. So hopefully that makes sense. Let me play through the first 2 measures that we learned a minute ago. Pay attention to that right hand. And remember, we had 2 slides there in the first measure, and then we had that pull off. See what I'm doing with that right hand during those slides and the pull off. I'll exaggerate that right hand picking motion down, up, so you can see what I'm doing. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2. So see, I kept that down, up pattern going, even though there were hammer-ons and pull-offs. I just didn't pick the string every time. So hopefully that makes sense. It's a really good way to build up the efficiency of your picking. And I say the majority of flat pickers that are extremely fast, that's what they do, and that's how they build up that speed, builds up that momentum. But obviously you're going to be doing a lot smaller and a lot more controlled picking there. But that's how you figure out the pick direction. And in my opinion, it's okay to stray away from that strict alternate picking down, up pattern. It's not a big deal. If you come up to a point in the lick where you think you need to pick a different direction, I think it's perfectly fine. Whatever you feel comfortable doing, you think feels right, I think you should go with that. Because look at Tony Rice for an example. He uses some very odd pick stroke directions in his picking patterns for his licks, and sometimes they just don't make sense to me, but he worked it out, and he was actually very, very quick, or he is actually very, very quick picker. Amazing. So that's a perfect example right there. You can still be awesome and maybe just develop your own style. But for me, that down up picking pattern, it helped me build up my speed. It helps most people, I think, build up their speed when they're flat picking and playing these licks like this. So anyways, that's all about flat picking method right there. If you have any questions on that, drop it in the comment box below the video. But let's move on to lick number 2. Now let's go through lick number 2 here. This one's very cool. I'm gonna play through it so you can hear the whole thing, and we'll do the same thing. It's 4 measure lick. We're gonna chop it in half. We're gonna measure 1, 2.